It was said that if you are in sin, then you will be handed over to Satan for the destruction of your flesh. And it was said in Philippians 3, verse 18 through 19, "For as I have often told you before and now, telling you again, even with tears, many live as enemies of the cross of Christ. Their destiny is destruction. Their God is their stomach, or their stomach, and their glory is in their shame. Their mind is set on earthly things." And finally, it was said in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9 through, I believe, 10. "Those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a trap, and into many foolish and harmless desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil." And I'm gonna stop right there. I was thinking about someone that I knew in the past, and I guess this can count for many people too, but this is one person in particular. I've never really met this person before, but I've came across them without, I guess, formally presenting myself for the first time in person, but I saw them at the mall. This was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And over time, I knew this person was in the background or back crowd. This person would smoke weed. She would get involved with major sexually immoral stuff and just insane stuff with like wild living and all that stuff. I guess you could call it witchcraft and sexual immorality and all that stuff. And obviously cursing too, and listening to trap music and all that stuff. And over time, I noticed that she never had tattoos, but now she has all these crazy tattoos. Some in, like, one was like under her breast. Obviously she was wearing a top, so unfortunately she was like half naked. And I noticed that she had like tattoos on her arm and I think on her belly or something like that. And then the Lord spoke to my heart saying that tattoos are the destruction of the flesh. God never intended for man to have tattoos on someone. The only excuse that you would have if you to have a tattoo is a medical tattoo. If you're gonna have surgery to remove something in your body that is causing cancer or disease or whatever it may be. There's no reason to have a tattoo. Even if you're someone of the faith, don't get a tattoo, because it's all for vanity. It leads people into lusts. It leads men to look at women's private parts. It leads even women to look at men's private parts and to look at their upper thigh. There's someone I know that has a big lion slapped on, I don't know what part of the thigh they have, but they have a lion tattooed on their upper thigh. There was a Christian, or supposedly acclaimed Christian, who smoked weed, apparently. What a coworker told me, that's out of town. When we went out of town to work, supposedly he had a tattoo on his forearm, and it had a Bible verse, and I can't think of the Bible verse, but it said, or the verse said, that the number was labeled, "I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me," or something like that. And all these things that people do just to make themselves look good before the others of man, It's to please others and to make themselves feel pleasure. But the thing is, you guys, these things don't please God at all. Because here's the thing. Jesus is more concerned about your soul and the body that he gave you to glorify him. Because God, yes, gave you a body. He gave me a body. He gave you a body. He either made you male and female. Neither homosexual body-like manner or transgender manner. He never intends that. But even then, if you're born unisex with both male and female parts, God still defines who you are, whether you're a male or a female. Doesn't matter what issue is there. But anyways, more onto the topic of I'm talking about. So the thing is with tattoos is that I've even heard people say that oh, I let my intrusive thoughts win and then I got this tattoo. Someone actually told me that at work one time, and I just thought to myself, what in the world could have compelled someone to do this? And then almost immediately God told me that basically it's demons that tempt people into doing this. And even people of faith, people think, well, if people ask about your tattoo, then that gives you an opportunity to talk about Jesus. Guys, there are other methods of doing that. You could literally make a writing on your shirt. That's one way of doing it. You can go out on the street with a microphone to some extent. Be very cautious if you're going to do that and talk about Jesus on the streets, because many people will reject it. But if the Holy Spirit tells you and guides you to, then do it. Obey the Lord. There's other methods of talking about Jesus at the dinner table, in the living room in front of family, or like YouTube or Facebook or whatever it may be. You see, there are different ways that God will not condemn you for telling people about Jesus, but he will condemn you even if it's not of involving the faith, I guess you can put it. Is that he will condemn you if you're gonna put tattoos on yourself, even if it's to try to glorify Jesus, but it won't glorify Jesus, because God does not want tattoos on you. And I would highly discourage anyone, if you know somebody, I would discourage anyone driving someone to the place to get a tattooed on them. I have been in this situation before. There have been a few times where I've made excuses, but then there was a day that came, other than not or standing up for the truth about tattoos and homosexuality, and I counted the cost, and that was that. And I chose Jesus over falling into tailoring someone's temptation, even if I was just standing outside of the tattoo tailor shop. But anyways, the reason I bring that part up is a small testimony that I'm not going to talk about really at all, because that one was a hard thing to deal with, but I basically have gotten through it and is in the hands of God now. Our bodies are meant for the Holy Spirit. It is not meant for people who are demon possessed and demon oppressed to cater and canvas paint on you. Now, someone has asked me even if a flower's okay. No, because Satan hates the creation of God, and he will pervert in a demonic way to have a demonic attachment to a demonic soul attachment to you through that tattoo. Because Brother Alec mentioned, that he mentioned in one of his videos way while back, There is a new age of like a tattoo age, where many people in our generation, in people in their 30s or early 20s, basically Gen Z and millennials, are getting explosively amounts of tattoos. People are literally getting like tattoos exploded all over their face. Some have done the demonic thing of putting the mark of the beast on themselves, and then their soul is doomed for hell because they chose to do demonic things to get pleasure, money. And even if they're hinting with a little bit of having a Muslim faith, where they think, oh, when I die, I'll have 1,000 wives. Well, guess what? When you die and you go to hell, you guys, you're gonna get the 1,000 wives in hell. But here's the thing. They're not gonna be there for your pleasure. They're gonna be there for their pleasure, and they're gonna rape you. So don't fall into that wicked damnation of temptation or whatever it may be, because Jesus is opposed to all kinds of tattoos, because all tattoos are demonic soul tattoos. They are engraved images that are idolatrous. There's some family that I know that have actually put an idol on themselves, and I asked them, you know, what is that on yourself? Like, or what does that tattoo mean? Because this was at Thanksgiving last year or something like that, and she explained to me what it meant, and I did not say anything about like opposing this of the faith, because unfortunately people fall away, and I'm not going to go further from there, because that's another story for another time, and then testimony for another time. But the thing is, you guys, yes, it is an individual's choice to get a tattoo. But if you're just freshly becoming 18 and excuse me, if you're just becoming 18 and you just want to get a tattoo, to some extent it's the parents' responsibility, because the thing is that is the parent influencing their kid or not? Now, to some extent, it's not the parent's fault. You just have to ask Jesus yourself for that question. But we're temples of the Holy Spirit, you guys. We're not temples for Satan. And many are temples for Satan and demons. That's why you find many people with exploding tattoos on their face. Some have actually, even though this has nothing to do with tattoos, will even sedate themselves, will even go extreme measures of transgenderism, where a male part gets cut off, where even the female organism or the organ gets cut out. I saw one woman who was in her basically in her early 20s or something like that, where she got rid of her, I guess, her female part, because I guess she must have been raped, and somehow she got it, somehow in some bizarre way she got a pickle jar and like just put it in there, just so that it's like, basically it's like, yeah, I have gotten over and I'm set free from my past. You know, demons can give you false sense of peace. Do you know that once you make a unaltering mistake, you cannot go back unless the Lord allows it somehow? Because I know that with I don't know, I think it's cellular technology, that where if your ear gets blown off, they can grow an ear on your shoulder and then boom, it's back on. But even then, to some extent, don't follow after that. Follow after Jesus, and have Jesus templed in you, not demons who are influencing you to blow up tattoos on your face for your own self-pleasures and desires, to have all kinds of pleasures of money, fame, power, sexual desires, and all kinds, because God's wrath is slowly coming upon the earth, you guys. It's coming upon Sean Diddy Combs. where there are insane amount of testimonies against him, where Justin Bieber's involved, Billie Eilish, which I was even shocked there. There's many stories, even with young minor girls, where they were molested by not just him, but by other men that are affiliated with him. And it's so insane to see that because they have Satan templed inside of them and many demons templed inside of them, it's bound to have rape, it's bound to have gluttony of money or of oneself or of pleasures of this world, suicide, depression, anxiety, almost anything that God opposes and speaks against. So I've made this video a little way too long, but for what I'm basically trying to talk about. So that's what I would highly encourage you, is to not get a tattoo. Now, this is one thing I do want to talk about. If you are someone who has a tattoo and you are barely living, if you're barely living paycheck by paycheck, then God will not condemn you for having that tattoo on yourself. Because if you ask God for forgiveness and from that point on you get no more tattoos, then the Lord's going to forgive you. However, though, if you have money, like not just to pay bills and pay your truck off or whatever may be, you have no excuse. Even if Jesus has forgiven you, you have no excuse, and you need to get that tattoo removed. And if you're not sure, ask Jesus for the money to get the tattoo removed. And by that is laser tattoo. Now, God has made a way for these such things. Just ask Jesus to make a way for you, and he will make a way for you. Jesus has made a way for me many times with many situations, even if it was without money. Jesus provided me a basement exterior door for my parents and myself. And that was within 12 hours, you guys, 12 hours. I told my dad, I don't know how I'm going to pay, or I don't know how I'm going to make the money to get a door or something like that. Because my parents were all along with this, including my dad. And the next morning, a coworker asked me a question I couldn't answer, and I had to go to the store. And then back behind the building where there's apartments at, obviously, there's a dumpster and there's a door. And I go there, and I'm like thinking to myself, is this large enough? And I go home, get my measuring tape or whatever I had, and lo and behold, you guys, that door, God provided me free of charge. God will provide a way for you. He will provide a way to get that tattoo removed. He will provide a way to get demons out of you in his name. Anything is possible to whom Christ gives strength to. Don't doubt. Have hope and faith in Jesus, and work out your salvation and work out your relationship with him. Do not doubt, have faith. May Jesus Christ bless your day and night.